What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review, and this one is a highly anticipated one, not just for me, but for many other metalheads, considering, well, one of the biggest metal bands in the world, or have been for the past almost 20 years. And today I am talking about the latest offering from Lamb of God, Into Oblivion. This came out on Friday, not February, March 13th this time. This time on Century Media Records, so label changeover. They were on Epic / Nuclear Blast, now they're on Epic / Century Media, but primarily Century Media. And this is the band's 10th studio full-length overall, and of course, I've been a long time fan of this band ever since I was a teenager when I first heard Laid to Rest. I did go over the last album, Omens, and I thought it was a decent album. I'll be honest with you, I haven't been digging a whole lot of, recent Lamb of God. I will say the last Lamb of God album I was really into was Seven Sturm und Drang, the last one with Chris Adler, and it's just because I actually skipped over most of the self-titled, and when I heard Omens, I thought, it's a decent album, but it felt like it was missing something. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Personally, I felt like there has been something missing in this band ever since Chris Adler left, because I feel like Chris was an integral part of the songwriting for Lamb of God, and that's why I think a lot of stuff from Seven Sturm und Drang on back to, say, As the Palaces Burn was such a great run of albums. Whereas the last two, well, I can't really talk much about the self-titled, but Omens, it was decent, but it wasn't my favorite. This album, I will say, I think is definitely back on the right track. I think because, new labels, so they're able to do whatever they want to do this time around. Also, new logo, which I miss the old logo, but I mean, if it means good things musically, then I won't mind. Of course, Josh Wilbur returns as the producer. He's been their producer for over 15 years at this point, so you kind of get an idea of what an album like this is going to sound like production-wise. But we kick things off with the title track, and I actually like how it starts off on a more suspenseful note, and then it just automatically goes right into a breakdown, and for the most part, the song pretty much stays at a mid-tempo, a lumbering groove, even some double time coming in here and there, plus you get some really cool angular legato guitars and palm-muted riffs. But one thing you'll definitely hear a lot on this album is tribal drums. Art Cruz, I will give him all the credit in the world. He's a hell of a drummer in his own right. And I think this is probably his best drum performance thus far with Lamb of God, because not only is he doing the awesome groove patterns and thrashy beats, but he's bringing in a lot of tribal drumming into the album. I wrote down tribal grooves on a lot of these songs because you get some moments where you get into a tribal beat from Art here and there. But yeah, it was an interesting way to get things started, but then you go into Parasocial Christ, and right away it feels like a ferocious, thrashy, almost crossover thrash song. This almost feels like a hybrid of Exodus and Cro-Mags kind of mashed together, and it's a fucking ripper of a song. Awesome machine gun riffs. You still get your groove metal moments on here, which is still what I would only associate Lamb of God as for the most part, is a groove metal band with moments of thrash. And this song definitely has its thrash, but man, it's got some chug to it, and even blast beats, which I think this was actually, no, we got another song where there are some blast beats that come into play, but I will go ahead and talk about lead work, because I only counted 2 leads on this album, this and the song 1,000 Years. These were the only tracks that have, true blue leads, and they were pretty good for the most part, I will admit, but the big thing they go for is awesome breakdowns, awesome chug, awesome groove, and the whole 9 yards. Now, one other thing that really does come into play, I think that's executed better on this album than, say, Omens, is the melody. The melodies when they come in, I think are a lot fresher, they're performed a lot better and were more properly executed. Like, I would say some of the examples of like some more melodic aspects would be the Killing Floor, which starts off with this like almost classic heavy metal melody into like a thrashy gallop, and then suddenly again the tremolo and blast beats, which this would be one of the only songs I would say there are tremolo riffs. And then the breakdown on this track, I wanted to point this particular breakdown down, is feels more like a Meshuggah breakdown. Like you get like these like riffs and the kick drums following along. It feels very much like a Meshuggah breakdown, which is pretty cool. But continuing on with the melodies, the song Bully starts off rather melodic, and it feels more like a Melodeath song, which that was maybe one of the problems I had with Omens. I felt like there was a little bit too much of a Melodeath vibe, and not so much of the more bludgeoning groove metal that I love from Lamb of God. This song, as far as like going down like a more Melodeath path, was done far better than most of the songs on Omens, I will admit. This almost feels like a good amalgamation of groove metal, thrash metal, and Melodeath. Kind of like almost like more like not really modern, but like mid-era The Haunted a little bit, which I know The Haunted and Lamb of God kind of get compared a little bit. But one other thing that really, as far as back to the melodies go, two tracks have some really tasteful, clean melodies. El Vacchio and Devise Destroy. Those two songs start off with great clean melodies, but El Vacchio, that one brings in clean vocals, which I will be honest, I wish that was utilized more on the last album, because I'm a big fan of the song Overlord off of Seven Sturm und Drang because of Randy's clean vocals. He's got this like great low, sullen, tuneful, soothing voice to him, and he gets to showcase that here on this track. But also you get these like huge riffs, like heavy riffs and a big chorus where Randy's just going to town on his growls and screams, which he does go hard on the vocals across the board. But then the closer, Devise Destroy, it really builds up nicely, and we get back to like a more classic heavy metal gallop and riff before you get back into chug and groove. But other aspects you get on here, like a lot of thrash metal moments, like back to Parasocial Christ, but also Blunt Force Blues, which honestly, I was expecting that to be more of like a bluesy groove metal track. No, it's mostly thrashy. Like you get grooves, but it's more like a thrash metal groove. But you also do get some thrashy rhythms, and it does build up to the breakdown rather nicely. And then, of course, Bully having a lot of thrash to it. Also thrashiness on Sepsis, which also nasty bass line, and it does go into like more of a doom groove before it gets into that thrashiness, before it slows back down at the very end, back down to a more doomy pace. Other tracks like St. Catherine's Wheel has some more like big D-beat gallops, smooth bass lines. It's rather spazzy at times. And then the song 1,000 Years, again, a killer bass line by Herschel Green from The Walking Dead, or I'm sorry, John Campbell. If you know, you know. But yeah, bass line and even good old cowbell. 'Cause after all, I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell. But you do get back to some clean vocals, but they're like more lower in the register. But man, this song is just riffy and chuggy as all get out. Probably some of the chuggiest moments on the entire album. I will go ahead and say that for damn sure. So overall, I feel like this album is a proper return to form for Lamb of God. It's like they're finally back on the right path after, I don't really want to say missteps, but like steps. I guess I can say missteps. Like the last couple of albums have not been the best. Again, though I can't say most part about the self-titled. I can only really comment on Omens. But this album, I will go ahead and say, is the best Lamb of God album since Sturm und Drang. No question. So overall, as far as any complaints go, really the only complaint, and it's really a minor gripe, I thought the album kind of started off a little bit on the weaker side with the title track. I felt like if that song could have been in like the middle of the album, is kind of um like a pace break or something like that, I think it would have made the flow a lot better. So for that reason, and that's just a nitpick, personally, I'm giving this 4.5 out of 5. This is unreal. Like, Lamb of God is truly back. And if they play Cincinnati on this album, I would definitely love to go see them live, because I'd like to hear a couple of these songs played live because, yeah, Lamb of God is back, and I couldn't be happier. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you for watching, keep your horns high, and your dreams wet.